Uh, what we'll be doing is talking about infrastructure constantly. Uh, the goal of this is to create a platform for advocacy, create a platform for knowledge sharing, create a platform where people can come together to understand infrastructure well, to understand what is the benefit of infrastructure, to know the difference between the developed nations and the underdeveloped nations and the developing nations itself, so that we can know where do we have the gaps and where are we meeting. And then also to also let us know that there's opportunity for investment in infrastructure. And then we can also look at how we as individuals, as corporate organizations, as government, how can we plug in into our basic infrastructure needs and then close up the gap what we have as infrastructure deficits in Nigeria and in Africa at large. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Soji Ben. I am the CEO of Fidelity. Fidelity is an infrastructure consulting firm that seeks to help businesses, governments, individuals to develop infrastructure either for the public use or for individuals or for government or for organizations. So that is what we do project management in the area of infrastructure. We also do advisory services, research, and we do advisory services in the infrastructure space. We also do help with financing. We don't create finance ourselves. We don't manage funds. We're not fund managers. But what we do is that we link the people that has funds with the people that needs the funds. So we are in between. So we manage the project effectively. And then the last thing we do when it comes to infrastructure is management. We manage the infrastructure project. When it's being completed, we also manage the assets itself. So those are the few things that we do. We get involved in field development as we move on, and that gives us the opportunity to be able to work with users, work with government, and work with the investors. So we curate infrastructure project in-house, and then we look for a way of executing it, getting stakeholders to be on board. Those stakeholders now formulate now becomes the board now clients and then deliver the project for the betterment of everyone. So what we say in Future City is that we are building cities that are fit to last. We are building resilient cities. We are building the future of the world. We have a vision that in the nearest future, the way Nigerians are living Nigeria, living Africa, to go to develop nations like Canada, like UK, like the US, like Switzerland, we will have the oversight of the case. Like people coming here. Most of the reason why we go there is because there is basic infrastructure, because they have infrastructure. So we want to see how can we develop ourselves and then become attractive. So it's called Africa Attract. So we can begin. It's a journey. It's a journey that will last for decades. So Africa itself has, Nigeria itself has, if you have to cover up the infrastructure gap, we have to spend in a lot of trillions in dollars to be able to cover up the infrastructure gap. So, and it's not a day thing. So we have to give decades of years. So we have to start from somewhere. So the very first thing to start with is, I believe, is this forum. That is advocacy, knowledge. If we don't know it, we won't be interested. So we try to create a platform where people can know what infrastructure is and how can I be part of it. How can I develop Nigeria? How can I develop Africa? But that is what we are looking for outside of it. Yeah. So today's topic is more of understanding infrastructure and its benefits. Yeah. So I will first of all explain what is infrastructure. I would like it to be communicative in a way, engaging in a way. So if you have, it's not a class, but just a class. Okay, so you can drop your comments, what you can define as infrastructure. You get it's a common saying. Yeah, what we call security infrastructure, security architecture, different technologies, different infrastructure at different levels we get. So what's basic infrastructure, what is the meaning? I would like to see if anybody can try, just drop something. What do we think is infrastructure? What do I know that I can call infrastructure? But while we are dropping that, I will just keep talking about it. Infrastructure basically are the enablers, things that enables us to live, to have a meaningful life, things that gives us power, things that gives us energy to do things. And we get things like roads. Road helps us to move from one point to the other. We get so that is road. Transportation system. Transportation is either you move on that road. The ability to commute or to transport on that particular that created, which is an infrastructure. Itself is infrastructure. So we need to commute. So we have waterways, we have airways. So we can commute through air by flying, through water, and then through road. So we have this infrastructure. We get, and then we have power. Someone dropped something. We have power as well. So Sadiq Jimo says infrastructure essential services that enable social economic activities. Definitely, I support that. They enable social activities. It is an enabler. Infrastructure is basically an enabler. So we have areas of infrastructure that are very key. You get. So we have the education. Those are institutions. We have the hospitals, that the healthcare system. We have the libraries, which flows with the education. We have even the housing, which is part of the critical infrastructure, which is shelter, where people live, that you get. So there are many things that we can regard as infrastructure, but I'll just give a basic understanding today. So infrastructure is at the basic physical and operational structure and facilities, be it buildings, road, power supply, water supply, internet, I believe to make calls you get. So, and that are needed to do what are needed for the operation of a society or enterprise. So an enterprise needs infrastructure to be able to express themselves. The warehousing system, infrastructure on the enterprise level. On the enterprise level, your tables, your chairs, the things that you use to work, the office itself, the space, things that enables your work, even the digital infrastructure. We're still going through all those details one by one. Okay, but these are things that enables an organization to work. So therefore, things that enables nations, communities to function. So if you are living in a community where we have a certain number of people living in that community, there are certain platforms or things that are very key. Things like the school that the children will go to, places where they will work, the farm where they will work, the institutions, the company, the structures where the people perform, they carry out their day-to-day activities. Also need to consider that. So here are the few things I can talk about right now. I can just mention now when it comes to infrastructure. So infrastructure it's everything that makes our life work. It's not just road. People think the infrastructure is just road and bridges. No, it's telco. So I will explain four areas of infrastructure. There are lots, but let's pick these four, which are critical infrastructure, social infrastructure, digital infrastructure, green infrastructure. Critical infrastructure, uh, from that term called critical, it means things that are critical. And those critical infrastructures are things that basically we need them, from shelter. That is where real estate comes in. You get house. Where do we live? It's infrastructure. You get. So we have water. We drink water. We have food, which is agriculture. We need to do basic things that we need. You get. How close are they to us? How far are they to us? How are we getting them? You get the water, the food, the healthcare. These are the basic infrastructure, the critical infrastructure. The chemicals. These are the things that they are used to manufacture our food, or things that they are used to manufacture things that make our life better. Transportation, we need to move from that house to where we work to end. You get. So economics, even government itself is infrastructure. You get. It's one of the capital infrastructure of nations, of communities. But in olden days in Africa, we have the palace where they have the chiefs, the king. That's an infrastructure. That's a governance infrastructure whereby they have the three tiers, the three parts. We have the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. So that is an infrastructure that operates the community itself and that makes people to get what they need time, or that defends the people that live in that particular location. So those are critical infrastructure, things that we can't do without. So if you say a community is existing, but there's a village somewhere, what makes it a village? Critical infrastructure, things that you rely on for government, so that for government, rule of law, there's house. People are living in particular places there. There's commerce. There's a place where they will go to make life for themselves, where they can go and work and earn a living. And there's a road that will connect them from where they live, where they live to where they need to come to earn the money. There's social relationship. So there will be places where they commute, where they play together. Those are social gatherings. We have already talked about markets where they exchange things that they produce. And we also have places where the children will go and play together. Like the educational centers, the museums, cultural centers. Those are basic infrastructure. The things that are critical infrastructure, things that defines life, defines settlement, that defines who we are, and makes up the possibility of calling a place that we get. Sometime maybe next week, our topic is very critical, very, very nice. I can't even wait to talk about it. Checks the people, place, and the product of infrastructure. We'll talk about that next week. But I just remember, I just said, I just chipping that. So make sure you don't miss next week. So I'm going to talk about the people, the place, the products, that things that affect the value of infrastructure, or be it real estate. We'll talk about it. Let me go further by talking about social infrastructure. Social infrastructure is also critical. It's part of the critical infrastructure. It's now a subset of the critical infrastructure, which covers healthcare, judiciary, education, and social, which is sport or recreation. So these are the four things under social infrastructure. Investors like to invest in infrastructure, but in the interest of resultancy, when it comes to social infrastructure, because they are social, these are virtually government responsibility to deliver all these things. On the healthcare part, that's where we have the primary healthcare system that we get. So we can realize that these are very, very important things. Really, those four things that make up the social. But because the investors don't go there, the reason they don't go there as often is because there's no return. They can't really claim, okay, bankable, okay, let's just do the judiciary, let's just do the judiciary building, like a summary report or something. How do they make money from it? You get so to invest in it. So okay, so it's government that will now have to invest in it. So the private organization can also invest in it, and then government find a way of paying them back over time, which will be debt, which will be claimed as debt investment. It's fine, you get, but it's not a quick go-to places, but it's mostly driven by government and the non-profit that you get this social infrastructure. Yeah, but the social infrastructure even they have levels. There's a primary social infrastructure on the healthcare system. That's the primary healthcare center. On the sports, there's a secondary. The secondary is where we have sports. In UK, in some developed countries, we have private individuals and organizations that build a stadium, and they are to make a lot of money. You get these big sports clubs, Barcelona, Chelsea. They have their facilities where they make money from. You get. So there's also areas at which you can make money from it. In education, yeah, the education as well, there are places where you can also make money from it, which is the housing, which is what we call the hostels, building hostels for institutions. These institutions are owned by government. We have private organizations now, so you can see privates are coming in. So you get, so it's the old knowledge that says social infrastructure, you can't really go into it as investors and as individuals, but there's no level of returns of investment. No, there are areas at which you can come in. You can come in at the senior level of the infrastructure, social infrastructure, and then you can make as much as possible as return from it. You get the third one is the digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure is they are the kind of infrastructure that are not all physical. They are partly physical, but their function are digital. That's where we have data centers. Yeah, it's a place where all the data of this world, are being kept. They are different settlements, different nations, and different locality. So data centers are under the infrastructure. The towers, they're under the infrastructure. The cables, these three things I call them the backbone of telco, the backbone of living, the backbone of future cities. Because the future of cities, the future of communities, of cities, rather, or nations, is digital. AI is coming in strong. And the function of AI will be stronger when there's a digital infrastructure, because you need the data centers to be able to help. You need the towers to help. You need the cable to transport the data, to transport the power itself. So the digital infrastructure is a core for us to understand, or to study, to sit down and simply find what is it about the digital infrastructure. Where are we now in the world? Where are we going in the world? Where are we in Africa? Where are we currently in Africa in terms of our knowledge, our space at which we are playing when it comes to Africa and Nigeria? You get, what are we doing? You get to understand currently, then how can I tap in as an individual? How can I tap in as an organization? You get, so those are the things that you need to, that's the benefit of this program, of this infrastructure forum. Share ideas and let us think about how can individual parts, whether or individual yourself, how can I plug in? Are there courses that can start learning? Are there things that I can start attending? Are there a subject that can start studying to better my life and do things for myself, and then add value to people, and then position myself where development is going, not where development has left. That is the essence of talking about this digital infrastructure today. It is very key, because if you look at real estate, we have smart homes, smart cities. These are results of digital infrastructure. We have when you are driving on the road and you pass the lights. Now you have cameras that fix the plates, their number plates, and then and you get a message as time goes on that you have passed that particular things and that you find to pay. That is digital infrastructure. It's smart city operates on digital infrastructure. What is smart city? Smart city is the process at which data are being collected for to influence decision, the right decision, the policy decisions, marketing decisions, and the governance decisions. You get even organizational decisions. If you make your office smart, you know what time people are coming in, where they left, how are they behaving. You can track on things, on how things are going on, and that will influence how you make your right decision. That is the power of data. The fourth one is green infrastructure. And green infrastructure is more what we call decarbonization. You have learned or you have been aware that the United Nations has been coming strong, been pushing strongly on decarbonization, net zero. How can we reduce the carbon emission, reduce fossil fuel? We can't terminate it because they are existing. The emissions will always release powders, all those things. But the point there is the way the fight is that we are using those carbon should be related to the way which we are talking there. So the more greens that we have should help us to be able to put the carbon that we are using into the air. So that is what led to energy information that we are now having renewable energy. So which is better, it is clean. So we call it clean energy, clean power. So having clean, so there's solar, there's wind, hydrogen is here, and it's here to stay. So we need to study all those things as well. I'll talk about them in a few bits you get. So we have renewable energy, we have it in Nigeria, we have it in Africa. Even some rural settlements, we have people coming in there, it's not profit to donate solar panels, really batteries for them, help them to keep their lights running. And that will help their schools, their local schools to run their hospitals to run effectively. Those are green infrastructure, current green infrastructure that you get. So, and then the green infrastructure also extends into the power part itself, which is the hydrogen. Hydrogen is strong in some nations. We get Africa, we have some places where people are trying to come up with kind of projects, but it's not yet popular. So this platform is a way of opening our eyes to see opportunities in the international space. Helping us to say, let me go into that space. Let me start doing this. Let me start doing it. So that's one of the benefits of this. So our advice, if you can, let's go into the green infrastructure. That will not only help you as a person, it will also help us as the continent, as a nation. It helps all. So because the effect of green infrastructure is strong. It's climate, it's climate driven. So part of the KPI, it's part of your goal setting will be climate. How can I help the climate? How can I help the world? And that is why we are doing this. At the beginning of time, they are expensive, but by the time you check them out, they are cheaper on the long run, and the benefits supersede burning carbons here and there. And if you check as well, our transportation system is changing. Now we have electric vehicles that are running with electric batteries. So those are the things that we need to also look into. Can we hear me? If you can hear me, you can put a thumbs up to show that we are all hearing me. Yes. Let me say a thumbs up to show that we are hearing me. And then if you have points, you have ideas, you can also drop ideas, things that you think you need to complement what I'm saying. You can also drop your document. I'm talking on it. So we have speaking about 4 areas. That's not all. We have a lot here, but these are basic 4 areas that I can talk about now. because of time, because we have limited time. So we have critical infrastructure, social infrastructure, digital infrastructure, and then green infrastructure. Now we'll be talking about the key players. Who are the key players in infrastructure? The key players in infrastructure, the first key player when it comes to infrastructure is governance. Government is the first, the primary key player. So even if you invest in infrastructure, mostly those physical infrastructure like roads, bridges, it's government that will fund them. So you can own them for a particular period of time and then you transfer it back. That's what we call PPP, public-private partnership. We'll find a day to talk about that. So whether and better, what that means. Individuals can money is a way at which individuals can come into investing in infrastructure. Yes.
Good morning, sir. Please help us to check your network.
And when it comes to
good morning, sir. Please help us check your network.
Okay.
Yes. Your voice is breaking. Can't really hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll check that. Yeah. Check. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, from my end, I think it's clearer.
Clearer now, right? Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
Clearer,
yes. So I will quickly do a recap of the slide before this. Those are the basic infrastructure. I spoke about critical infrastructure. I hope you understand that when I spoke about that, the critical infrastructure, the social infrastructure, the digital infrastructure, and then the green infrastructure. So critical are the basic thing, the most important thing that you need to have as a community, as a nation, that we can call infrastructure. You get so this is like houses. The first one there is shelter. You get so for us to call a place a settlement, or human settlement, is because people are staying there and probably they are under a particular ship. They are staying under a particular housing structure, which is called shelter. After that, we have food, which food and water. You get that is the next thing. If they can't eat, they have to. What now drive them is in the look for that food and water is what leads to commerce. They will now need to go somewhere to look for food or to exchange value to get funds, facility to buy food to eat and to get water to drink. So in olden days, they go to the stream to fresh water. So that's in the link between their habitat, where they stay and where they go and look for water and food is the road network. That is the network. So that's what we talk about network. And network comprises of road, bridges, anything transportation. That is why transportation is part of infrastructure. The road that you take, the waterways that you are passing, the air that you are flying through, that is infrastructure. That is the plane. That is infrastructure. That's why we have airports, bus terminals. They are part of infrastructure. That is what everything about infrastructure is. That infrastructure is anything that makes life better. It's an enabler. It enables our life. So when I say critical infrastructure, the things that are critical to human life existence. So that is critical infrastructure. And if you notice, all these things I've mentioned, like moving from one place to another place for commerce, to make living, to feed yourself and everything, they are changing. So you don't need to move like that. Now there's internet, like what we are doing now. We'll have done this in a physical, in a brick and mortar space, but now we are doing it online. So this platform we are using is infrastructure. We call it digital infrastructure. Yeah, so it's an enabler. So we don't need to all come to a particular physical place. You can do this via Zoom. So Zoom is a product of infrastructure. I mentioned earlier that next week our topic will be people, place, and products of infrastructure. Okay, so part of products, this platform at which we are all discussing, talking about this forum, this platform is a product of infrastructure. You get so that is a few things. So digital infrastructure come to play. Like all know digital or technology, whichever word you want to use, it's a disruptor. So it disrupts the traditional, and it keeps coming in. We have more things that are coming in from the digital space. Now we have AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, which are enabling us to do life better, even though in the area of productivity, there's reduction in human intervention. Remember, in the banking sector, we used to have everybody would go to the banking hall. Now we don't all go to the banking hall. We do everything online. Even before they doing everything online, we all go to the ATM. There'll be queues. Now people don't really go to the ATMs as much as that. So because there's now cashless policies, you can transact without going to the bank or going to the ATM to queue. You can see that things are changing. But if you notice something is happening, if we have to be careful about the human intervention in operations, in productivity, are reducing. So that is the advent of technology. We will still talk about that when we are talking about the product of technology next week. How can we resolve that problem? How can we make sure that people don't die? How is it that we shouldn't give birth as much as we used to? But we'll talk about that next week. So, but on these four basics, where we have the critical, the social. Now, let me talk about the social. The social infrastructure are four. You get four basic. We have healthcare. We have education. We have judiciary. And then we have sports and recreation. Healthcare is a social. These social infrastructures are infrastructure that makes that enables life on a social level. That they are basic things that enables life. That there are basic things that enables life, that enables people to live effectively. There are basic things that governments these are the core responsibilities of governance. Okay, we have a new state, we have a new local government. What makes the local government? These four things has to be there: education, primary education, basic. We have government primary education, we have secondary, we have tertiary. You have to educate these people. You get healthcare. You have to give them primary healthcare center. They'll probably, when they are sick, they need to go through treatment and everything. And we have judiciary. They have cases. They have suits. They are fighting each other. How do they resolve this thing? How do we have the judiciary? And then they need to socialize. They need to meet up with people. They need to become friends. They need to feel that their life, everything is not about work. That is where we have the support and recreation. So I can see those four things. They are basic things that government must provide. And they have primary level and secondary level and then tertiary levels. You get people can also invest into it. So if you are investing into healthcare, it's rare to see people investing into primary healthcare center. You just go into secondary or tertiary, most tertiary you get, and then because primary healthcare center, the costs at which people will pay at primary healthcare center are always minimum. You get so to get return on your investment is a little bit hard. So you really upgrade your structure, you get, and move into secondary or tertiary healthcare facility, whichever case you want to invest in as an individual. But as government, we have primary responsibility to cater for the three levels of healthcare infrastructure. Then the fourth one is green infrastructure. We call it green infra. The green infrastructure are things that enables us to create decarbonization. We get to reduce the carbon emission that we have. Example of them where we have the solar panels to generate power at home, renewable energy. We have the cars that we are driving now. We have electric cars that we have, but we are realizing that the carbon emissions from those from the fossil fuel is hurting the world. It's expensive. It's not just expensive, but it's not doing us good in any way. You get animals are dying. Things are happening. We get heat everywhere. We get so this decolonization is going to help us to have a better world for ourselves, and they are also infrastructure on their own. You get, but they are driven towards green. They are driven towards decarbonization, net zero. You get then there's a policy coming up that every nation are setting up for themselves in terms of they call it ESG, which is environment, social, and governance. It's also a policy formation or strategy, like I say, or investment that institutions are looking into now. It's all about this green infrastructure. So that is what I've explained earlier. In case you missed it when the network was glitching, I have to change my network provider. That is also infrastructure. You get, so when you have a workable infrastructure and we have non-workable infrastructure, we talk about that. Let's talk about the people, the place, and the products of infrastructure. How can we upgrade them? How are they faring and how are they doing? Yeah, so the next thing we want to talk about, or which I started talking about, was the key players of infrastructure. Who are the key players? The first key player in when it comes to infrastructure is government. Like I mentioned earlier, social infrastructure, critical infrastructure, from all those things, realize that government is number one. Government. And government cannot actually do it alone. That is why government decided to open up a policy or a framework called PPP, public-private partnership, where someone's asking that how do you think private sectors can come into yeah. So this is where we now have PPP, where privates can come in, can help in social infrastructure, can help in digital infrastructure. That's where we have the telcos. That's what led to privatization of the telco industry in Nigeria some years ago during the leadership of Olusegun Obasanjo, where you have MTN coming into Nigeria, Equinix, the later on Globacom stepped in the telco space. We have people coming in to take things up. That's an example of how private investors can come in. Now, even in power, we have schools. It was open to private organizations to come into power generation. As we have the discos, we have people coming in now to help us with distribution of power. It's still generated by the government, but the distribution part of it is being managed by private organizations. You can see how private organizations coming in, and then when it comes to road as well, private developers to come in. But if you look at everything, it's like we are helping government to deliver this. That is what it means, really, but mostly helping government to deliver. And why do governments find it hard to deliver infrastructure alone? It's not only in Nigeria, it's not only in Africa, it's all over the world. Because, like I always tell people, governments don't build nations. The people that build nations are entrepreneurs and non-profits. Entrepreneurs and non-profit are the ones that build nations. Government just create platforms. They just create platforms. So, but they have responsibility to do certain things. But able to maintain it, like we have maintenance culture in Africa is struggling. They will do their best. But to really get the best of what we need to compare our nation to other nations that developed in the world, individuals has to come in, and that is one of the essence of this forum, infrastructure forum. We need to educate ourselves. We need to increase our technical know-how when it comes to infrastructure, and come in, invest, do courses relating to infrastructure, influence our relatives, our children, our friends, to go into areas that will develop this nation, that will develop this continent. It is when we have reduction in people leaving the country, and then I'm not against people leaving the country. It's very good. But when they leave the country, they will come back with a better light to come back and develop. So that by the time people are coming back, they come back with the power to develop. Let's learn from China, how they've done it. Let's learn from Japan, how they've done it. They left their country to the developed country, part of the world, and then they came back to develop themselves. They knew that the core of this is infrastructure. They knew that the core of nation building is infrastructure. That is the basic you get. So government is a key player, but they can't do it alone. That's where we have these other key players. We now have private developers, which is me and you. We can come in and invest. We are doing well in real estate currently in Lagos, in Nigeria. Fine, but there are other parts of infrastructure that we are not thinking about. There are schools, hospitals, we can invest in. Education, that is hostels. You can build hostels. Data centers, that's under digital infrastructure. Cabling, you get connecting people. We can set up, even digital infrastructure has a lot at which we can look into, we can invest into. The social infrastructure space, you can look at the secondary part of it. The education, you can build schools, you can build primary healthcare centers. You get, and then if you can't do that, then as a non-profit, you can move into the secondary or tertiary healthcare system. You give the best you get. So people will come and then say it. We can do sports, create platform, design museums and build them. You get, so people can come, it will attract tourists, attract investors, and from there, they'll do what they have to do. You come into power, invest in these power companies, institutions, you get. So that is where private individuals come in. They are the individual percent, and then their organization as well, organization can also invest in what's it called, in infrastructure. Say like road, you are asking me, how do we invest in road? You can, that's why we have toll gates. There's a platform called PPP. You get to, and then there's an agreement. We're going to build this road for government and we'll operate it. That same model is called, that model is called BOT, build, operate, and transfer. You operate it for a certain period of time, and then you transfer it back to government once you are done, and then they make it toll free. You get, so, and then if you don't want, if it's not tollable, they will apportion it to be under a particular infrastructure fund, which will be paid over time. They will give you a particular period of time and they will pay you back. Yeah, this is where these pension funds are going into. This is where pension funds are going into. Government has funds that they are putting aside for infrastructure development. Even organizations, some key organizations, which is the next people I'm talking about, the finance and investment firms, they have what we call like infrastructure funds. They raise it from different sources, different places where people are keeping money for people. So they can just keep money for people. Money can just be lying fallow. They need to trade with those money. So the best place to trade with is long time. So for people, so this part of some institutions that fall in this light are creates what we call infrastructure fund. They call it infra fund to be able to raise capital for it, and then they not look for projects. So you can see, if you have infrastructure project, there are people under this particular infra fund, you get, that are looking for project, reliable project, meaningful project, bankable project that they can invest into. And the project is not just road, it's not just, no, you can look at digital, you can look at social, you can look at decarbonization, any investment on that decarbonization, you get, it's still infrastructure. And then they can pump this money, inject, even though most of those infra funds has goals, they have classes at which they are looking at, not all. But look for the one that flows with what you are doing, and then you plug into them. The default people that keep it here are profit you get. And like we say, under critical infrastructure, shelter is number one. And that's and to really solve the problem of shelter, social housing must come. And the best people to deliver social housing is that government or non-profit. So we can look at that as well. We can go into non-profit in the infrastructure space and then look at the shelter creation. You get, so and then the fifth people are users, which are me and you get. So we can abuse infrastructure, can abuse the product of infrastructure, and that will increase the price. If users also has behavior at which their behavior partner can help infrastructure growth or can diminish the value of infrastructure. That is the way we use it. So can be maintained if the budget for maintenance is XY, and then the rate at which we are using the infrastructure is not commensurate with the budget that has been apportioned for maintenance. It will diminish in value, and that will affect the general bill. It will even discourage some people to come and invest in that area. So these are the 5 key players of infrastructure. The next thing I will talk about are the opportunities. I'm rounding up after this, the opportunities and benefits of infrastructure. The opportunities of infrastructure are plenty that are beyond this that I've listed. I've listed increase in the quality of human life. That is paramount. So when you have proper infrastructure system, healthcare, let me just ask someone, why do we go to UK? Why do we go to Dubai? Why do we go to Switzerland? Why do we go to Qatar? Why do we go to those places? Looking for better life, better quality of life. Better life. A good quality of life. It's infrastructure. Starting from the critical infrastructure. These are the things that we define. Let's look at Switzerland. Let's look at Dubai. What means Dubai? Why are we going to the UK? A lot of people are moving. They call it Japa. Through route of education. That is infrastructure. It's social infrastructure. You get? So it is infrastructure that we are looking for. To be sincere, that is it. We are all looking for better infrastructure and where infrastructure is existing. So you get and then where those infrastructure are being managed well. You get government. I've explained earlier. Government is infrastructure itself. You get so the quality of governance. That's what that talked about leadership. Okay, but that is not our discussion. So you get that's our discussion. If you want to influence that, then go to politics, and then part of them create the change, which I will always advise. That is until I can influence the policy making. Yeah, but the point here is that let's talk about the physical infrastructure. That's when you go to the US. They have the infrastructure. By the way, the US infrastructure, the average US infrastructure is a century old. You get the average. Dubai is recent. Singapore is doing well. So you can check out other places. You can check them. Not people there. Why are we going there? It's because of infrastructure, healthcare, education, policies. You get those are the housing system. And where are jobs? Because they are structured, they are platforms where they can house those jobs. If you don't have physical places where the jobs can be housed, they don't jobs there. Factories are there. I'm going to look for a job. I want to work in the mall, work in some place. I'll work with XY place, and I'll get money to do this. Those are jobs, those are infrastructure. I've explained this earlier. So if we don't talk about this all the time, we won't know that we can build our nation ourselves. Let's look at infrastructure. Okay, so talk about the benefits, quality of life. Those are the first things that we will benefit from, and that are the first opportunity that we get when it comes to when we start paying attention to infrastructure. Then career. Infrastructure is so wide that we can create career platforms. Entrepreneurs can be battered. Even from this conversation today, I'm sure I've had this conversation before, I think 2 years ago, this same topic. I can't count the number after this conversation. Okay, but just like an eye opener, I can invest into this. I can start doing this. I can tweak my business into this. I can start focusing on this. I can go and do this course. Oh, let me go and do this. Let me go and do this. It creates jobs. Look at the Dangote refinery in Lagos. You know how many people, how many jobs it's going to create. How many people we express their career. We have to express good part of their career. You experience good part of career when it comes to working in that refinery. The free zones are coming up. Free zone alone is an infrastructure formation. It's an infrastructure. You get so those are areas at which we can have benefits to career. Then investment. Investment is key. Now, I explained the issue about investment earlier when I talked about PPP. And investment that require you to assume that you can set up, and it's infrastructure, and you are adding value to the general infrastructure. You get like the telco, you can go to telco, most of them does require licensing. Then you get your license, and then you go into it. You get you can go into renewable, you can go into batteries, you can go into cars that are not using fuel. You get you can there are many things and many areas that you can go into. Yeah, we're talking about the social infrastructure. You can start setting up hospitals. You get pharmaceuticals. You get these are infrastructure that you can invest into. Then how do you make your money back when you invest into physical infrastructure? I've also said that you can through PPP. You get, and then the way you get your money back will be DOT, bit of put and transfer. So the road will be told. You can put money together with some developers or investors. Let us do XY road, let's do XY bridge, let's invest in this particular project. And then the project will be told. And then you can make your money back over the time. And if you're not being told, you can make your money through the infrastructure funds that the government has allocated, through the pension funds and other things, and then they pay you back over the period of time. So is it that you operate it or it's there, people are using it, government are paying you back. It comes as a debt. Is it that as operational returns, you get it through operations, through the toll gate, or you get it, the government got it as a debt, and then they start paying you back over the period of time. That is how they pay back China. That gives us funds to do rail line in some years back, and they are still paying. You get so that is how things. That's why government is running themselves. That's how government is being run. So you get to the raise funds from places, and they execute projects, or private institutions come in and operate and execute those projects and operate them for a period of time. That is how we can come in as private investors into infrastructure space. So investment, you can make a lot of money, you can create legacy, you can build a career, you can create generational wealth from infrastructure. The very first one there is real estate. You can invest in real estate. You can invest and then you do a whole lot. You get the first one here is community and nation growth and national growth. I mentioned Dubai. Dubai is thriving on knowledge of infrastructure. So they understand how important infrastructure is. And they monetize it. By default, it grows them. Growth comes to a nation when it has workable infrastructure. But so what do you need? You get it there. You get an enabler. So things that make your life better. So it will be infrastructure analysis. So then we can also talk about, we can also share discussion that we bring in speakers for that particular topic to get people that are playing in the tourism space. Some people in some developed nations, we also bring them to share what they see they've been going about, the technical know-how itself, that we can also understand and also tap into it. But let me miss that part. Social community growth. Community growth is key. What differentiates a rural settlement, a rural community, and an urban community, or a city is infrastructure. The infrastructure, the big, once the level, the growth of that, you start seeing growth. People, everybody in Nigeria want to be in Lagos because there's infrastructure. The reason why we are checking out Abuja is because there's infrastructure, and one of the capital infrastructure in Abuja is the governance. The government sits there. And remember I told you that government is part of infrastructure. That is the first factor that attracts people to Abuja. But in Lagos, you have commerce, you have social infrastructure. They've been created by the colonial masters. They've set them up already. So the social infrastructure is the first thing that gives us platform here in Lagos, where I stay, and commerce itself. Then the third one, then the last one, not the least, which is we have a lot. On my list here, we now have economic growth. One has asked about how much they make from the visits, and from the daily visits. Qatar has the record. How investors, how tourists are coming in because you have infrastructure. Some companies are leaving Nigeria currently for the last 6 years. Multinationals have been leaving because we don't have workable infrastructure. Infrastructure are failing, so they are leaving. Power, in the areas of power, energy. So once they are struggling with it, because infrastructure is enabler, they're enablers. So once they don't have it, they leave to where they can get it. So neighboring countries are like, okay, fine. Nigeria has all these, as this, but they're struggling in this area of infrastructure. Let us invest into this area of infrastructure so that this can market this. Then that's the way that nations, communities market themselves. When it comes to people that are into branding here, we know what we call destination branding. There's no destination branding without infrastructure. So when you invest in your infrastructure, definitely that alone is a brand. So it's a leverageable brand. You know, so it helps you to grow as a brand, which is a destination. And by the time people start coming in, exchanging values, definitely the economy of that particular settlement or that nation will surely develop. So those are the areas at which I want to talk about today. The area which is what is infrastructure, which I think I've done a little bit of justice to it. Second one is what are the key players in infrastructure, which you are part of it, government is it, and then the third one is what are the benefits of infrastructure. So if we have questions, I have limited time, so if you have questions, so let me see, you can drop it in the chat room, and then I will answer them. And you also have comments. You also drop the comments. I see a lot of people are dropping things for Quality Live. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so how can private sectors, how can a private sector must be, how can private sector be part of infrastructure development, like public infrastructure, like sports complex, and then to harness talents of youth, the talent of youth and their well-being, doing it with commercial viability as a win-win. I think I've explained that earlier. That is what these football clubs are doing. For the football company, not football clubs. Yeah, football company is to the fans that becomes clubs, but to those organizations themselves, they are institutions. They are for profit, and they are doing it well. They are playing with the psychology of people, and they're touching their fanaticism, their social level as well, influencing them, decision making, and then making money for themselves. So that they set up clubs and set up infrastructures, which is stadium, and then we can get told, get fee, and make money from it. So you can invest in that sport infrastructure as well. And then someone said quality of life. Yeah. Someone said I want to propose that we get this presentation via email. So it's definitely we're going to get it. It will be on by tomorrow. This video will be on our YouTube page, so you can always watch them over and over. The last one that we did, that was last 2 weeks, was already on our YouTube page, on our YouTube channel. Just Fitness City Limited. You can check them and then watch them. Okay. So someone said, hello. Surely share this section. Yeah, definitely. We can share it via. I'll just share the link of the particular YouTube channel, so you can always link and then watch it. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have any other questions, you can drop them. Feel free, I'll answer them. And then you can also catch up with us on any of our social media platforms, Fittest City across board. You can catch up with us. We have this forum every Tuesday. We have different topics at the last Tuesdays, sometimes during the month as well. We bring in people, experts, mostly experts, people from different areas, from government, so you can ask their questions. We bring people from academics, people that understand the technical and the standard practice of whichever thing we are talking about in infrastructure, and then the practitioners, the experts, people that are doing the business itself, so they can share their experience, the entrepreneurs, the staff, the project managers, the people that are actually running the infrastructure itself. And this also expands to the investors, people that invest. I mentioned something about infra fund, people that raise infrastructure funds in millions of dollars. We bring in a few of them as time goes on. So you can even ask them questions. What area are you looking at investing? Why do you set up these funds? Maybe you can ask them those questions. So we're bringing them in time after time, and then we can all learn together and we can get better. If you are into real estate development, we have a training. This is not free. We have a training for project managers, for project management, for property development, for real estate development. It's going to hold this month, the third week of this month. We'll share the flyers across our social media platform. So you're paid, so you can attend. The speakers are seasoned speakers. The speakers cut across academics, practitioner, guests, and the government as well. So you can know, okay, what are we doing? How can I practice? How can I learn? How can I be able to deliver projects, infrastructure projects? So because there are people that has money that want to invest in infrastructure, I'll tell you, there are institutions that has this money that are looking for projects to invest in. But they're also looking for people who can deliver those projects. But the real problem now is who will deliver it. That's why we're having CCs coming in. We have companies that are international coming in to execute our projects in Nigeria. So we need to equip ourselves. Some of them will be paid. Like the one I'm talking about. We will share the amount to be token you get to be subsidized to an extent. So you can join the platform and then join the program, learn, get the skill, and to be able to, you can do project management professional is fine. But I'm talking about focused project management. So you can be to focus on real estate. You have another one that will focus on energy projects. How do you execute energy projects? What are the things I need to know? What are the things I need to do to be able to work in this space? The telco space, there are projects there. There are things that they are doing there. How can I be part of it? So we have schools, we set up schools or master classes where we will be learning them. This forum is just to discuss, share thoughts, open our eyes, advocacy, and get people to come and share light. Oh, this is what's going on. In keeping ourselves with information, that is what this forum is all about. Like we said, infrastructure forum, exploring insights and innovations in infrastructure projects and investments. So we are linking the project and investment together. That's what we're doing here. So thank you very much for your time. It's good to see all of us here. And I pray that we all do well in life. We all add our quota of value to Africa, to Nigeria, and to get a better world for ourselves. Thank you very much. Say bye for now.